So everyone is lying to each other on the season 2 premiere of Farscape called Mind the Baby. John and Dargo are safe, as we would expect them to be, and they don't even bother to show us exactly how they were rescued. It's just that we knew from last season that they were going to be part of this season. So they didn't waste any time. They just put them in a safe place and kind of half explained it in the course of the dialogue. Dargo's just coming out of his coma from space exposure, or whatever you want to call it, and that allows John to fill him in and us in on how they avoided their certain death. But of course, it's not the whole story. He doesn't know all of it because he has not been told the complete truth. Now, Crace, who had escaped on Talon, helped Aaron find an asteroid that could sustain life, and in return, Aaron would help Crace communicate with Talon. She didn't tell John this because she figured that he wouldn't like it, and he certainly didn't once he found out. Crace has also made a deal with Scorpius to hand over Crichton in exchange for his own freedom and to keep Talon. Scorpius was aware that Crace was assisting in saving Crichton, but didn't interfere as he knew that Crichton wouldn't be taken alive by him. So what he's hoping for is for Crace, who very well knows where Crichton is, to surrender Crichton, and that would allow him to be taken alive. And then after that, he would destroy both ships, capture Crichton, and extract the wormhole information, and who cares who else died after that. So, Crace was lying to Scorpius about wanting to help him, however, and he wasn't going to turn over John to him to begin with. And even Chiana and Rigel discussed taking John's module and leaving Moya, before Pilot, who's been listening in on all of this, offers one of Moya's transports. You could leave anytime you want to. So there's a lot of lying going on in here, and very much a lot of twists and turns in the episode as well. It's a well-written episode. The cliffhanger, as it's done in so many television shows, was written without any idea of how it would be resolved. This happened in Best of Both Worlds in Star Trek. They had Picard captured by the Borg, and they had no idea how they were going to get him out of it. They figured that if he didn't negotiate his next contract very well, they would just write him off. In this case, that wasn't their intention. They just wanted to make it such an exciting cliffhanger that they didn't really worry about how they were going to fix it until it came time to actually write that. But they did it with some calisthenics, but most of it made sense, and it worked into the resolution that the story has of the cliffhanger. The exposure to space allowed the makeup people, interestingly, to cause Dargo's look to be changed. I think they wanted to change his makeup anyway, and this was a good excuse to make an in-universe excuse. So he's darker, has a more brooding look, but they also changed his personality. What would you do if you almost died and were thinking about your family that you'd never see again and things like this? And so, as it turns out, his aggressiveness has come down a notch a bit, and John, having gone through the Aurora chair, becomes more aggressive and generally more angry. And so Dargo becomes more social, and with John's changes, they become really more alike, and they develop this male bonding that John was lamenting he didn't have in last season's finale. I mean, they together set an asteroid on fire, destroyed a base. You got to be friends after that. And then, of course, we're stuck out in space, certain to die. I mean, that's what friendships are made of, right? So we begin to learn more about Scorpius. We know that he's half Sebacean and half Scaran, and we know that Sebaceans are vulnerable to heat. Now, this is a spoiler if you don't know the rest of the story. It'll be released later, but right now what I'm going to tell you is not part of what we learned in this episode. Sebaceans, we know, are vulnerable to heat, and we'll eventually find out that Scarans are very hot-blooded. And Scorpius, being a half Scaran, half Sebacean, has a built-in problem, shall we say. And the way he deals with that is having a replaceable head implant that cools his brain. It spins out of his skull, and they pull out a red, hot-looking tube, replace it with a white, cool-looking tube, and crank it back in his head. And apparently that is what keeps his brain from completely shutting down. Anyway, it's a cool effect, pretty creepy too, and has a lot of goo on it and things like this. It's what special effects people love to do. Anyway, it seems to need frequent changing, and that may have something important in future stories. Also, Rigel exhibits a new physical effect, mainly when he is in a high emotional state. His breathing is impaired, can barely speak and can barely breathe. And when Aaron explains it to everybody else, people are more amazed that he has high emotions. Anyway, it's further shown that leaving John, Aaron, and Dargo has affected his appetite. He eats all the time and yet has not eaten anything during this entire episode. And that shows that he does have feelings for him. We also found out that Chiana can leap incredibly far. Upon seeing John, she did so. And we also know that a Leviathan without a pilot can offer what is called the Hand of Friendship. This is another real gross thing, only second to Scorpius thing going into his head. It looked very painful when Talon offers the Hand of Friendship to Crais. In the end, we're not sure if Crais has changed to more of the enemy of my enemy, or has genuine remorse for his treatment of Dargo and the others, and his pursuit of Crichton. It seems now that Crichton is now in pursuit of him, a point that even Crais appreciates the irony of. John sums it up thusly: you want to have a midlife crisis? Fine. Just ditch the farm, head off to Maui, shack up with a supermodel, but you do not get to keep the Porsche. Professor O is going to join me on Thursday. We're going to talk about Ant-Man. Hope to see you there. Until then, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe and don't go far.